Hi all, this is Amit Vyas here from Mulya Ed. I'm back again with a new episode of the Test Talk Show with a dear friend, Mr. Kiran. Kiran is a vice president for quality in a large organization and has been in the space of software testing for over 20 years. He started as a developer and then switched into testing. A rare occurrence, I must say. So we'll go to Kiran to know more about him and about his life journey. So Kiran, would you like to give your introduction and help our audience with who you are?
Sure. So thanks Amit and the entire Mulya for having me here. So it's definitely a good opportunity for me to come and share my journey. And from introduction perspectives, like I've been in this testing domain for the last 20 years. So I started around somewhere 2003 or 4. Like you said, I started as a developer initially. So I was actually working more on the technologies, like more on the VB side of things. Okay. So that's how my career actually started. After that, I've been growing from company to different companies. I moved into testing, primarily into automation testing. Okay. So then after that, I've been worked across the geographies, across the globe in different geographies. And then finally, I'm with the current firm for the last 15 years, I'm with the current firm.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So how long is your total career span?
So it's like 20 years, if I have to go back a little, right, my early stages, right, how I started. So initially, actually, I started when one of the startup in those days in one of my friend company. So maybe I think that would have actually helped me to know everything. So the reason being in a startup, right, because you will not have a very sophisticated teams now how you have you have a separate DevOps team, you have a separate development team, front end team, you have a testing team, right? So in those days, you need to wear all kinds of hats, right? That's how I actually was into development. Then I was doing a little bit of testing, but not much into it. Okay. Right. So, but when I started my corporate journey, I started in Delhi. My corporate journey. Then when I started with one of the firms, so then we were actually working for one of our client at the time was. Okay. So we actually got an opportunity to showcase the automation capabilities. Okay. So that's where actually one of my journey started on automation side. Okay. So then actually at the time there were no experts in automation, right? Okay. So to be very honest, because everybody say, they know automation, but that not at a expertise level, right? So because a lot of testing people doesn't have the programming background in those days, 20 years back. Yeah. So most of them used to come from a manual background. So when I actually have the edge of having the programming knowledge, so my manager actually picked me saying that, Kiran, why don't you give it a try? Right? So this is an automation project, but definitely will add a lot of value. So why don't you go and give it a try? Because the solution we were building is on VB based. Okay. So, and I am from the VB background. Okay. So that's where then my manager actually asked me, why don't you go and try? So that was one of my first very, I would say, complex assignment for me, because I have to understand all the nuances of the architecture. Yeah. I have to understand how to even develop a framework, right? Yeah. Within a short span of time. Yeah. Because actually they have sent me to London and work with the client closely and present the solution. Okay. Right? So me and one of my colleagues actually, we both went. So we started actually working on it, and we were thinking how to do and how to develop the framework and all. So that's how I gained all the knowledge there. I did a lot of R&D, right? So at that time there were no references, because today in Googles of the world, like ChatGPTs of the world, you can get all the information handy. At that time there was no information, right? So you have to definitely give a task to your brain and you have to get out of it. So we developed a framework and we presented to the client, and it was very well received from the client. And at the same time, we had a competition, right? Obviously, I'm from the consulting background. So there was another big, large firm, right? It's an Indian big, large firm. I don't want to take out the name, but they were actually coming and competing with us, and they actually presented a Silk framework. Okay. Silk used to be one of the popular tools in those days, and it is a little expensive tool in those days. So we did a solution on VB and we presented, and the other company actually presented on a Silk, right? So we both were presented the solution, then finally the client actually picked us, our solution. Right, that's where my first big success happened there. Then after that, I formed a team. I went almost as a single person there, but I almost ended up forming 10 to 12 member team. Okay. So overall, right, for the entire automation. Okay. When I started working on automation, I got a lot of maybe developed a passion, I would say. So the reason being, it is no more less than a development, right, for me. Because you have to still do all the coding, you have to still develop all the functions, you have to still actually identify all the reusable actions and everything, right? So that's how actually my journey started, and I started liking it, and it gave me a lot of incentives as well. I'm not talking about the money component, but it gave me a lot of incentives in terms of somebody coming and looking me as a mentor in that space. In that time, when I started just a couple of years, people started coming to me and asking me to train on automation. So a lot of actually good things happened, right? So that's how I continued my journey there. And when I was with I've been awarded as one of the best employee, right? So after that, what happened was like from there actually I moved back to from Delhi to I moved back. I was worked for London like more than a year. I worked in London. Then I moved back to.
Where are you originally from?
I originally came from Hyderabad. I'm born and brought up in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad, but in one more place in Andhra, I spent some time, but majorly I would say Hyderabad because majority of the time is Hyderabad.
Where was your graduation?
Yeah, my graduation and everything happened. So in Hyderabad and in another place called Guntur.
Okay.
So there actually I studied my MBA as well.
Okay.
So while studying MBA itself, what I have done is I used to do a part-time job.
Okay. This
right.
is with your friend's company.
Yeah, this is not friend's company. Friend's company actually started after my MBA.
Okay.
So this is actually I used to work in an ad agency.
Okay.
Right. So because it's a part-time job, so I thought maybe it will at least help me for my pocket money.
Yeah.
So I started working as in Hyderabad. I started working as a part-time job in an ad agency. So that's where actually I used to interact with a lot of creative people.
That time, how was the job scene in Hyderabad? Were there a lot of jobs available? People were still focused on the modern jobs, or they were still doing a lot of traditional work?
At that time, still the transformation was just happening, right? So people were still more on the traditional jobs. So you'll find more of a marketing jobs, and there are not much, I would say, digitalized at that time, right? So the first assignment I got, right, when I actually was studying MBA, when I was with that agency, one of the work we got was someone was trying to build a jewelry online site.
Okay, that time.
At that time, nice. Right? So then first time I got introduced to digitalization, right, with that assignment, right? And they said that we want to make a jewelry site, and it is an online, it is not physical, so everything we sell online. Right, so then I started thinking, oh, okay, so that means this person is actually trying to sell everything online.
I think even before.
Yes. So
this is long way. Somebody
very long way.
That vision.
Very long way, like 22 years back. I'm talking about 22 years back. Right. So then when I looked at right, the client we talked with the client, we took some interview on how to actually make his presence and all, right? So in the ad, so because primarily our job was to make the ad. Correct. And my job is as one of the team member in making that ad.
So were they finally successful in building that e-com?
I don't know where they are right now, to be honest, but at least when we were actually doing it, when we were working for them, I think it was very positive, right? But I don't know where they are right now. After that assignment, then my MBA was completed. Then I got into my friend's company. That's how my technology interest has been.
What did you graduate in?
So my graduation, I didn't do my engineering. I did on the Bachelor of Commerce.
Okay.
So I am not from a techie background. That is maybe that could be one of the reason I am more passionate toward tech, and I take into more detail than others.
Even actually today, it is very difficult for somebody from commerce to get into tech.
Yes.
Very difficult.
In MBA, I did IT though, but it's not like very sophisticated like engineering, right? Because in engineering, obviously, you will have like more deeper in-depth subjects you will have. So here, actually, I learned by myself.
So how did that switch happen? Now that you've done MBA, what happened after that?
After that, I started working for my friend company, one of my friend's small company. So they used to do small develop a small kind of work for banks, for example, for supermarkets. They used to make some small apps in those days, like Windows-based apps. Right. So then he said that one of my friend is a co-founder, and he said that why don't you actually come and work with us, because you are very interested in technology, right? So that's how it started. Then I started working with them. Then that's how I learned how the programming is and all, right? I got introduced to all this tech at that time. So that's how my passion actually started. So which is why my thing actually doesn't come through academy. My thing came through passion. Maybe that could be one of the reason I was
more. You did not have formal education at that time after MBA when you started there?
No, I didn't have any formal education on tech.
How did you learn actually how to do that?
So it was actually kind of pair programming. Now people call it as that concept, but in those days, I don't know, it's called a pair programming, but I used to sit next to my friend and I used to learn, because I learned Pascal and I learned C, right, during my MBA. So I'm very good at C actually.
Pascal, was it the one where the tortoise moves 3 steps ahead and 2 steps? Okay.
So we had one of the subject as a Pascal in MBA. So COBOL actually. So COBOL as well. So COBOL I learned. Then actually I learned while working with the team as well, right? Then I started learning the VB with them, right? So that's how my passion started, right? So and out of my entire MBA batch, I think probably only couple of people actually are into tech. Myself and one of my other friends. We both are into the tech.
Because normally when people do MBA in IT, the goal is not to become a tech person. The goal is to become a non-tech person in an IT business. But you were able to switch into it. That's really commendable. So how long did you work with this friend's company?
An year and a half.
Okay.
like
And
that.
then what made you switch away?
Then after that, the company was not making obviously big revenues in those days because they didn't had a lot of funds, or at the time the funding, there was no concept of funding.
Yeah.
So they didn't had a lot of money, right? So, and they were struggling actually to
Yeah.
pay salaries and everything, right, for everyone, right? So because me as a friend, I can work without salary, but that
Correct.
cannot go
Correct,
longer
correct,
as well,
correct.
because it is a problem, right, for
Correct.
everyone.
Correct.
So then my friend one day told me that if you want to, actually now you got some experience,
Uh-huh.
but if you want to take a corporate job, okay, I'm fine with it, he said. So then I started taking a corporate
Where
job.
did you
So
join then?
I joined a company called
How long did you have to prepare to get into that job?
To be very honest, I didn't prepare much. The reason being, prepare much in the sense, interview-wise, I prepared how to obviously present myself and all. But from a tech perspective, I didn't do much preparation because whatever I know, I just talked on the phone, right? And the phone, I had a phone call interview, right, in those days. So I got 3 offers immediately. After this company, I got immediately 3 offers.
Look at your BCom graduation.
Nothing. No.
They said good enough.
Yes, good enough. So, and I did PGDCA as well parallelly when I do, that is computer. I mean, post graduation in computer applications.
Okay.
But while doing it, already I'm into it.
Okay.
So
then, what year are we talking about? Which year is this?
I joined in 2004.
2004. Okay. And then, how long did you work with them?
And I worked for around 8 months, close to 8 months.
What was the work there?
There actually I got introduced to e-commerce first, right?
Okay.
So the reason I'm telling you some of these things, because I'll relate these things later, because e-commerce was, there is a popular e-commerce in those days, it's called Circuit City.
Okay.
So Circuit City, it's a US based company. So they sell like this electronics and all online.
Okay.
That's an online site. So Circuit City was one of the first assignment I got into.
Okay.
So I was working with one of my tech manager at the time. So he's a tech manager actually. He takes care of development, and I was the only one testing guy in the entire project.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So there I worked.
You joined as a tester.
I joined as a tester, automation tester. I joined as an automation tester there. Right. So because with some VB knowledge, so I was able to work on a tool called Windrunner at that time.
Okay.
So Windrunner used to have a scripting called TSL scripting, it is called.
Okay.
So TSL scripting is more or like close to VB, right? It's not VB, it's like kind of, right? So I worked on Windrunner for some time. Then I was into this Infogain. So when I was working for Infogain, right? So what happened was, one of my, maybe I would say my big transformation was working for. So that was one of my realization how complex it is to learn things and what all we can contribute as a being a test engineer. Because in now, like we are talking about, we have different teams to take care of any deployments. If you want to, let's say a OS for example, right? You want to test on particular OS, so you just go to AWS and just enable it, right? So it is just a fraction of minutes, right? So right now, so in those days, actually used to send us a case. They call it as a case. Case means a kind of defect, you can think like, right? Production cases, these are all. And I need to test that in 4 different types of OS, 6 different types of DB. I have to test.
All those systems have to be.
All systems I have to set up myself. I'll be given only like a desktop. Right? In those, I have to reinstall, I have to uninstall, I have to reinstall, again I have to uninstall, I have to reinstall. So in Unix itself, we have to, our most of the work used to be in Unix. Right? So that's how I learned
so much
core work there. Right? So that learning actually helped me a lot to understand complete the technology and architecture, right? So even at the OS and DB level, so I used to actually install OS myself. I used to do a DB connection myself, right? So that is where my big transformation happened.
I don't think today a lot of testers, even they in training or outside, not many people know how to install Windows and then delete it and then install.
And now if you want a DB to be up and running, they will go and ask a DevOps guy, I need this DB, can you make this up, right? So those days it is very, very difficult for us, right, to work.
But it helped you build a great foundation.
Yeah, and I didn't have a lot of internet. In those days, there is no internet searching also.
How did you learn?
I mean, through colleagues, for example, right? I used to ask some of my colleagues, and if colleagues also doesn't know, I used to call my friends because obviously I have my network. So I used to call my developer friends. I used to call some other friends, right? They used to work in different companies. Then I used to call. So most of the times, weekends, it used to be learning for us. Right, so most of my initial job weekends gone not for parties, but more for learning all these things.
How many times did you crash your systems?
Many times, I would say. I crashed my system. So, and the commands also, right, you have to be very careful in the commands because it will bring down the server. Right, so when I'm working in Unix. So whenever I do it, right, my manager used to sit next to me. Initial days, he used to sit next to me and he used to observe, okay, all my commands, right? So what I'm actually typing, how I'm bringing down, how am I again restarting everything, right? So after like few days, like maybe 2-3 weeks, so he has given me a free hand. He said that, like, he got the confidence. He said that, okay, you're on your own.
Where was this? Which city? MDocs?
Noida.
Noida. Oh, all
Noida.
of it is in Noida.
Yeah, this was in Noida.
From Hyderabad going and working in Noida and then working in London and all of this, how comfortable or uncomfortable were you?
No, that gave me a lot of exposure to different geography, number one, because I haven't been to north till the time. All my education happened in south, right? Primarily Hyderabad and Guntur, right? So then that has given me a good exposure to there, and I learned Hindi there. So that's one of the thing, because I was to converse with the local people, means definitely I need to know. So I developed, obviously, speaking
Even
Hindi and all.
Learning that would have been a journey in itself.
Right? So then after that, immediately I was fortunate to get the on-site opportunity. So immediately I moved to London after that, right? So in 2005 itself I traveled. So and I came back in 2006 back. So that working with the customer directly gave me a lot of advantage. So another, I would say, maybe mentor, I would consider Amdocs all work as my mentor, right? Not a person. The work I did, I consider that as a mentor for me in the initial stages. Then when I moved to London, what happened was, client actually is the client name is I'm still in touch with him.
Okay.
So we actually just exchange messages over LinkedIn. So he used to be like, he was the manager at the time, both the development and QA manager for British Airways. Right, and he used to manage a very big team. Like he used to manage us and one more Indian big large firm, right? So both the teams used to work under him. So the other firm actually used to do all of development work, and our firm used to do all of the testing work, right? And he actually did one thing. So when we developed the framework, we showcased the work, we got the work, right? Then we started working. So he assigned a consultant to me who has, like, in those days he has already 27 years experience in IT. So he was there before Windows. He worked before Windows. And that person was the architect for our project. And that person used to be very, very strict and rigid person. That person. And first time I am actually conversing with somebody who is somebody right outside the country, and foreigner, and also somebody who has different kinds of principles, right? And he's very strict in everything, right? So even if you don't put a variable name, proper variable name, he will give a feedback. Right? So and whenever weekly once he used to come to me. So I will work the entire week. He comes like Thursday or Friday, one day he will come and he will take me to conference room and he will sit, and I have to print all my code in those days in paper. So I have to go and give it to him. Right? He will read only through paper all the code, and he will actually tell me why you did this logic. So you could have done like this. So why you did like this, right? So a lot of reusable my concepts base formation happened with him. His name was Andrew, I think. I don't remember 100% name now, but Andrew, I think his was.
Not many people get that opportunity to work with somebody who's done that by 25 years at that time.
Yeah, he was there before Windows. That's what he used to tell me. And like I said, he's also very, very strict in terms of review and feedback, right? And I used to almost have a fear initial days whenever he comes, like Thursday comes. I used to have a little fear because I used to show my code to him, and any feedback, he's very straight, right? So he don't say it in a nice way. Right, so he said, you did this wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, right? So why you did this? Tell me, what is the logic behind this, right? So that's how I got very, very stubborn while working with him. I learned that completely, right? So these are some of the initial days transformations for me, like the Amdocs work, working with the architect right in London, and closely working with clients. So that's how my client consulting skills improved, right? So because I've been starting from my initial days itself, I started working with clients closely. So that's how my consulting skills improved.
Where did you join next after this?
After that, I came back and joined a company called it is a big company now. At that time, it was a small company. Now it is like it is actually acquired by some other company recently. It is like
based out of?
It is based out of actually Denver. In US, but I joined in Hyderabad branch. So I was the first person in the technology practice there. So they actually given me a task to build the QA practice. Right, in those days. Right, so then I started working with them, and I grew the practice up to 60-member team within 1 year. 1 year I grew it to 60-member team. Then after that I moved to Bangalore from Hyderabad.
This movement, was it pre-decided movement that I want to move towards Bangalore, better IT roles, or it just happened?
like at that time when I was moving from to the my next career jump, right? So I got offer from that time it was Satyam, I think. Still it was not. I got offer from right. So 4 companies I got offer, and in that all the 3 companies are from Hyderabad. The only company is from Bangalore.
Yeah.
Right.
Hyderabad was your comfort place.
Comfort place, and I grew up there. Yeah. We have our own house. I was staying with my mom, with my brothers, right? But still I took offer at the time because I had one friend in at the time. So he used to tell me what kind of work does and how they do and things and everything, right? So maybe I thought I'll give it a try and I will do that, okay, rather than going into, because Keen I was not, the other companies, right? So all are good, but my perspective was I want to just try something different, like not these companies. I have a lot of friends already, right at that time. So I know how the work will be, right? So it's not good or bad, but somehow my intuition or maybe said that okay, let's pick that particular offer. Right.
And how long have you been with them?
I've been almost till now I'm with. Right. Only 1 year I moved to in between. So I was managing the advisory platform there, and then I came back to.
So what kind of work you have done here?
So here what actually, right, see, primarily when I started, I was working with a couple of Europe clients. Europe clients I was working initially. So after that I got into product development. That was, and again, one of the good thing happened for me. Maybe I don't know, it's some of the things like it's fortunate. I've been into those opportunities and I grabbed those opportunities. So I've been actually part of one of the product development there. It's a testing product. So we actually developed a product which actually takes care of all kinds of testing and progressive automation, right? So now people are talking about doing automation within sprint, progression automation and everything. But those days, like I'm talking about almost like 14, 15 years back. 15 years back, we started progressive automation, right, with the product. So we developed the product and I was part of the pioneer. I was one of the architect for the product. And after that, I managed the team as well. So I did the sales as well for the product. So it's like developed like a proper product. So we worked with so many clients and all. So after working for product for some time, like couple of years, then I moved to US from there. Because we got one of the very large transformation project, and people actually, right, the management actually picked up few individuals who are very good in their domains, and they picked me for doing the QA work, right, for that client. Because it has a lot of different components, right? So it's a very complex engagement, one of the complex engagement for us. So even the total value that we delivered was like over 100 million at that time. Right. So, and they picked up for me for that particular role. Then I actually again went to US. I was there for a couple of years, like 2.5 years I spent there, and traveling in between. So there, that project is also one of the, I would say, best projects in my career. The reason being, a lot of new things we did in that project. When I say we, not just we, across the company and across the industry also, because we did the first mobile automation during that time.
Okay, which year?
It was 2009. Or 10 between, right? I don't know whether Mulya was born at that time or not.
Yeah, late 10, early 11,
yeah, early 11, right? So I actually did the mobile automation first time, right? So even people were not even thinking about doing automation for mobile. See, normal application-wise automation and all is happening at that time. That became not common, but still that became like a regular, right? So everybody are doing the automation. But doing for mobile is one of the right
at that time,
thing.
what OS operating systems are there? I'm guessing Blueberry was there.
Blueberry was there, and BlackBerry phone was there at that time. Nokia was there, and Android was not there yet.
And operating system, no standard operating system?
No standard operating system at that time. So the one we built, right, so primarily was, we built on iOS as well at the time. So the mobile platform I took was, there was a Europe-based company. So I do a lot of research, a lot of R&D, right? That came from my beginning job itself, that came to my mind. So I found out one Europe company who does this mobile automation. That was the only one company across the globe at that time. Right, that company. And I contacted the CEO of the company through social media, through the channels, right? So, and I said that this is what the requirement we have and I want this to be implemented. And he was very happy, and he came and he gave a lot of discount also, because he was looking for a big client at the time. So we are obviously a big client for him.
Yeah.
So I actually took over that opportunity and implemented the automation. And I written a big article as well on how the mobile entire testing to be done, including automation.
I think
It was published as well.
Yeah, after that is where the mobile ecosystem also
Mobile
took off,
space took off.
2010, 11 to 14, 15.
Yes.
So outside the work, what do you do? Like till this, we have covered on your work. What do you do outside software testing?
Outside work means now I spend some time with family, obviously, and I watch a lot of movies. And I watch a lot of movies, and I have some good friends in the film industry. So I go and meet them. So I like meeting friends. So most of the every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks we all meet, and we just do some we just do chit chat, nothing important topics like that. So I do a lot of chit chat and all. But last maybe few years, I would say my interest has been more into the talking to my startup friends. Right. So I have like a few startup friends, right, who are already into startups and they're already doing. So we go and talk, and whatever at least from my side suggestions I can give, right, I'll give those suggestions. We'll discuss any problem if they have, right. So majority of my time now is going talking to this most of the this startup friends.
In your office work, how much time is on new innovation tech work, and how much time is managing teams or managing maybe goals, budgets, targets, all this?
So it is a choice actually, right? So one flexibility right now I have with my current firm is it's pretty flexible, right? So in terms of what you want to choose. So when we actually write our OKRs, right? So we do OKRs. So we will have a different buckets in the OKRs. One is the delivery, the other one is the business. So obviously what business side as well, right? Like pre-sales and all, what kind of work we bring to the table. And delivery is common, right? What is the different KPIs we give in the delivery. And you will have a contribution to the company, and you will have a contribution for yourself to grow. There is a one more layer they have given where how you need to upskill yourself, right? So that area as well actually is given to us as one of the OKR. So that is why actually every year we do some or the other innovation, right? So we've been part, like I said earlier, we developed a product. After that, I developed one more automation product, right? More on the Java stack. So initial one was developed more on the VB stack. Then after that, I developed on the Java stack. So I learned Java in between. So that is one good transformation for me happened. And this product actually we did for many clients, almost across the globe. More than 60 plus clients used, and it was pretty stable, that product as a product, right? So automation product again, right? So that is how, and we did few innovations on, like for example, service socialization, right, is one of the thing, right, that many clients look at. And mobile automation as well we cracked completely, right? So how to do on Android and iOS seamlessly, right? So those
so one code for all, or
one code for all.
Oh, okay, nice.
One code for all actually we did. Only the object properties will change, obviously, so that you need to still manage, but from the way how you write the test case, the way how you automate everything would be same.
So out of all these successes, where have you failed? Like one piece, one story from your life where you actually could not succeed?
Project wise, or one thing I would say, time management wise, I doing a lot of multitasking, right? Because I used to work internally for our center of excellence, I used to work with the clients, and I used to work in the delivery directly with the clients, right? I used to do all three. So that is where I felt myself, I was not able to give the right judgment of time giving to all this, right? So because the problem is, once the moment you start working with clients, any escalation that comes, any release is going live, and it comes, obviously your priority will go high there,
and all
right?
of it takes a thought process, like
completely space. Your mind shift, everything will go there, right, towards that side, the escalation, right? So that is where actually, right, then obviously you will tend to defocus or put a little low priority on the other things that is happening. So that management, I felt maybe sometime I learned it that could have been better, but actually that is one of the learning for me, right? So how to manage the time.
When did you realize, and how did you solve it?
So what I've done is, this I realized maybe 4 or 5 years back itself, right? So I was talking to my seniors as well, my obviously reporting managers and all. So then what I've done is, now I've taken more on the business facing and the delivery projects now, right? So not on the, like for example, building the solutions part of it, right? So solutions, anything to build, I'll be building as a part of the client engagement itself, right? So more I've taken on this side, so because my actually presence with the client actually made right, more impactful. So that is where actually the teams also, I mean, even my superiors, my bosses and everybody said that is where I add more value working with the clients and doing the delivery. So that is where my focus went on the other side. Now at least I said that, okay, when you want to do fully focus on something, then you need to actually have focused targets, right? So on those things, not doing everything like it's like saying, right? So being like jack of all, master of none, right? So that's why I started focusing on few things where it will help clients, my growth, and obviously organization growth.
So if I was a 20-year-old and a new person, 22 years old, new person getting into software testing, what should I do that I reach a similar level of tech understanding as yours in half the time that you took? So what should I do?
So important thing for what I observed the current testers, upcoming testers, is unlearning is very important in my opinion, not the learning. Unlearning is very important, very, very important, because our minds are wired towards learning. You are learning something, right? Let's say you have learned for 1 year, 2 years, then it is very difficult to get rid of that learning. That's what I've observed in the upcoming new testing people as well. So unlearning is very, very, very important, right? So unlearning is, right? So whatever we learned, that is not like a cast in stone that it will stay for like ever, right? So always constant thing is it's keep on changing. So I think being an open mind is one thing, and I prefer, like, if the testers are coming in, I mean, into the testing career, they should at least have some kind of development background. That helps a lot in my opinion, because I'm one of the example, right? Because it added me a lot of value and a lot of edge, right? So but the reason why I got little edge over all others is because I had some development background. So the same way, I think if some testing professional want to come here, if they have a little bit of edge, right, on the development side, right? I'm not saying they have to be a developer and come to testing, but at least they need to learn those kind of design techniques, architecture techniques, how it is done, like why the application is architectured like this, right? So, and what happens, like for example, even it is a simple DevOps, right? So the build scripts and all, right, how it is created, how it is generated, right? If they know the nuances and all, then they will have a holistic view.
So I see that you write a lot about AI, you speak about it, you're doing your research work and other works. What should software testers do today to leverage AI better in their day-to-day work?
See, AI is, in my opinion, is more of a complement. It is not a competitor. That is how I look at AI. It is more of a complement. That means you should leverage AI the way how it should help you, right, in your activities, right? So like for example, there is a test design, right? So normally any test design someone want to write, I mean, any individual can write maximum 8 to 10 test cases per day. Right, so I mean, whoever is like expert in the domain also can write only 8 to 10 per day max. But leveraging AI, you can actually write a minimum of like 100 test cases per day, right? So that is the scale, right? And but one should know how to leverage and get the right 100 test case output. Because sometimes it will give, I would say, it will give junk as well, right? So it's not like AI always 100% is perfect, right? Sometimes like there will be some lines will be missing, right? I have observed that because we implemented AI in few projects already, right? So then the person who is using it, right? So the person should be able to do a quick review, or should have a mechanism of, okay, where it went wrong, identify the junk, and again rerun it with a different prompt and get the outcome. And after that, you just go for the next stage.
But as team leaders, how do you measure whether your team's productivity has increased or not after using these platforms? Because one of the things in tech is, see, a person can come and say, I have done this work, or I need 5 more days to do it. But how do you know whether he has already completed it, right? How do you measure now the work productivity, which was an already difficult task in the past? How does it happen today?
So this is a very interesting question, by the way, right? Because now with Gen AI coming, right, most of the estimates are going down, right? At least when we actually look at the project scope, when we look at what needs to be done, at least my experience with like few clients already, so 25% is what you can look at the optimization of the estimates, right? And how it comes is, it won't come overnight, and it won't come over one task. Like if I do
averaged out,
averaged out it is, right? So one test case design itself will not give you, right? Because you need to look at from a results perspective, how the dashboard analysis is happening, right? How the failure of reruns are happening, right? So it's a different parameters. So when we work with the teams, what we do is, because practically this is actually, we already delivered recently one automation engagement, so where we are able to reduce our efforts, right? So from the team as well, because the way when actually you can actually get to the point that team is able to write it in a lesser estimate is when you make the team excited, when you make the team motivation, right? So if they are motivated and if they are excited, right, with the solution that you are giving, and you are giving them the motivation, right, through the solution that you are giving them, then they will be able to do by themselves, right? Nobody need to tell them, right? So if you just give this like a task saying that, okay, this is what is the estimates, let's say it is 10 days, but I'm giving you Zen AI as a tool, so do it in 5 days. Nobody will do in 5 days. They will come back with a lot of complaints, right? But you motivate them saying that this is the solution, walk through the solution, do one case with them, sit with them and do one solution, right? So then they will easily complete it.
So the testers who are working with AI today or using AI today, will they have an edge, say, an year down the line or 5 years down the line? And how big an edge?
Yeah, I would say it is a complementary skill to have. Like it's an additional of skills, right? Like for example, tester having a DevOps skill, right?
Correct.
Just like just as having a Gen AI skill,
Correct.
right? Because at that time, at one point of time, when testers are having Java knowledge, Java skill used to be very, very premium in the market, right? Because even today as well, right? Because anybody knows Java programming, they are very premium. Because still many interviews, people are asking about find the highest number, ascending number, descending number, right? But with ChatGPT kind of things open, Gen AI, you don't need to go to that level of programming right now. But still people ask those questions. And people who answer, they will only get the job. Same way, Gen AI also will add as a one value add for them, but it will not make their entire career, in my opinion, right? It is definitely, there is a hype on this, but that hype, how you convert that hype to your resume, right? So reality, I think that is more important. It will be a complementary skill. Definitely, they will get an edge over others having Zen AI.
How can they learn it? What should they do to learn it?
My way of right learning, actually how I learned is, obviously one is you have a lot of courses online available, number one. Number two is always go to project, you take any open project, right? So, and have your own credentials on GitHub. Okay, try the tools that are there in the GitHub. Like there are so many already open source tools, right? On the Gen AI related right projects, there are many companies who are giving free of cost the tools or the solutions, right? So we should start doing your own project, right? Until unless you don't do a project, if you just read like a article, and if you just go through a course like one weekend on sitting on a sofa couch and going through a course, will not give you anything, right? So that is why they need to do a project.
Do fail and pass.
Do fail and pass and do a project, and that can be part of GitHub. So tomorrow, when you go for an interview for any company, you can just give your GitHub URL, right? Saying that this is the project I worked on Gen AI. Then nobody will even question you because you have your credentials already in the public domain.
It's measurable.
Yes, it's measurable.
So I think that is one thing that missing a lot of people today is not able to stand out. If they do something like this, they stand out automatically.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, if you were to, talk about your future, what's your ambition for future in one line? What would that be? What do you want to do now? Now that you've done so much, what do you want to do now?
So next few years, right? So one thing is, my interest is definitely I want to build the community in this community, and I want to help the community, right? Like for example, what our learnings I have, I want to get them to that stage, at least help them to actually move forward in their career, right? So to different people, that is the one thing I definitely have. And my final thought is actually I want to do my own entrepreneurship is one thought I have. Yeah.
Have you thought of in what space?
Primarily in this space, tech space, not necessarily in the testing space, but tech space definitely. Yeah.
So our best wishes to you for that, Kiran.
Thank you.
And I hope that whatever time you spent with us today was really helpful for you, fruitful for you, and is more fruitful for all our viewers, both in audio video formats. And even if one person has a 1% positive impact because of what we spoke of, it would be worth our time.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks for
nice
having
meeting
me.
you.
Yeah.